In this video, Polarian Professional Services consultant Stefan Schuck walks you through the basics of creating a SCRUM project for requirements, planning sprints in your new SCRUM project, sprint administration basics, and monitoring progress during a sprint.
So let's start creating our new project from the administration view. So we create a new project, enter a small ID here, SCRUM demo, select the fitting location, demos, and in the next part we select our ALM SCRUM template. While our project is created, we can. So after the project is created, you can give a more fitting name, like SCRUM demo project. What we want to do is we set a date. We can say, okay, start date may be in the past. SCRUM will our tracker prefix, and the rest shall not matter for our cases. Now let's go back to the project. So what we need to do in the first place, we can go to our releases section and have a look to what we already have. So we already have a release version 1.0, but now we want to create a release 2. So we just start here by clicking setting up a new version. Say, okay, version may be 2.0. Space will be releases. Template version is a fitting template. Let's just say finish, and our new release is created. So what we see here is a little warning about that we have to define a time point for version 2.0, and we have to create an entry in the release enumeration. So we can just go here and just start with a new enumeration. Say version 2.0. Better name for this one would be version 2.0 with a little better formatting. So this can be saved. And now we can switch to our time points. So at first we will create a new time point for our release. Let's say, like before, version 2.0. Name again version 2.0. So what is important here is that time will show you the date when the release will actually be finished by your first plans. So we have to choose a date in the future. Let's say we give it a time, so it will be finished on February the 1st. So now we have to plan the earliest planned start. So for demo reason, just imagine we already started on Monday, December the 3rd, so the first working day in December. So we just have to create this version 1, version 2. After we refresh, we see it in the list. So now after planning our release version 2.0, we can reuse the already existing time points for sprints 1 and 2, which were part of the template we used for creating the project. So if we go to sprint 1, we can set up the dates, the time, which will be the estimated, or like in the release, the estimated end of the sprint, and the earliest planned start, which is the estimated, earliest start of the sprint. So now here we already have set some fitting dates. The 11th of December is a little bit in the past, so that we can see the charts better later on. And the sprint 2 is already set up to be started and executed during January 2013, because we have some winter holidays, some Christmas holidays in the meantime, where no sprint will take action. So let's go back to our project, and here in release we can just hit refresh, and what we see now is that we have a new version 2.0 with the fitting dates. We have no items assigned. You can see this here, but now what we do is we go to our sprint administration in development part. So in sprint administration, we can set up all the dates around our sprints, which states I have here in the phase. What we do now is we enter the again the start date for sprint 1. So it will start on the 11th December 2012, and it will probably end in 2012 December 21. So we can change our team capacity here, and the team capacity factor here, which will be used later on for calculating efforts and calculating the charts. Now we just say update the sprint and the dates are saved. So that's it for now. Data which we can use as a product backlog for our planning. So we will choose an imported Word document for import, and we select a configuration which I already created in the before this session. So now we have here our document ready for import. We have some user stories included based on some rules, have some text, tables, bullet points, and so on. What we want to do is just we rename it here to product backlog. Space shall be okay, and we can just import it. So what we can do now is we can just continue to plan some of the imported user stories to our release 2.0, so that we can have some data to import. So when we switch to the Street View here, we can easily say, okay, let's say filter the informations to user stories only, and maybe we can go to table view here that only user stories are displayed. So now we can just select all here. 24 work items, use bulk edit. You can say, okay, our target release is version 2.0. It's selected down in the list here. So status will be approved. And we have a severity, let's say. So we can continue with our items now. So what we can do now is we can select just parts of these items, just say, okay, we want now 4 items in this stack of imported user stories to be implemented during our sprint. So to plan a sprint, we also have to switch the status here from reviewed. So we have to approve and accept the new user stories. Severity we have already, so we have to add some story points here. Let's say 5 story points for each item. We continue to work with the items, and now after we are in the accepted state, we can select our sprint 1 for these user stories here. So after saving, we can go back to our release information for release 2.0, and we see here that now we have 27 planned user stories for release 2.0, and 4 of these items are already waiting for implementation. We have here a list of our user stories, which we can also use as a backlog to set them up. If we go to development and our sprint board, we see that we are now in sprint 1, and here we also have our items which are already planned. Here are the 4 items for which we just imported, and here's some sample data which was already in the template. To actually do something with these user stories, we also have to create fitting tasks for each of the user stories. So just let's go here, create some implementation tasks here. Sprint is already set up to the sprint 1 which the user story belongs to, and we have to set an initial estimate here. Let's say 5 hours for this one. Save it. Now we can go back here. Now go back to our sprint overview and just hit refresh. We will see that now every every user story has a fitting task to really do some implementation. And now we can go back to our sprint administration and just, let's say, we go from our planning sprint phase to the regular phase, which means now the development can begin and the sprint is in progress. Let's say update sprint here, and now we're going forward again, and just pick our items. Or now every developer has a chance to pick an item he wants to work on. Let's say now we select this one for implementation. Say okay, we add some effort here. Let's say we add 3 hours effort here for analysis of the item. Save it and go back to our sprint board. Let's say we also can work a little bit on this requirement here, on this task here. We will spend 1 day here on actual implementation, save it, and if we go back to our sprint board and update the chart, after a little while we will see some actual progress which has happened during the sprint. So we can see here some progress information from the starting point, some progress information about the current progress, and we can see how the effort goes on. What we also can do is, if we go to one of the tasks, we can set up the status to just start progress. We can also go to this one where we already spent a day, to say, okay, this is already okay, we have to fit in a fitting resolution. Let's say it is done. Took some less days than expected. And now, if we go back to the chart here to refresh, we see that, actually something happened. One task has gone to in progress, one task has moved to verified, and we can update the chart again. So now we see that the effort tracked for our tasks and the status, together with the status transitions we did by moving the task to in progress and to verified, we saw that the overall left effort has been reduced during time. So that's basically it. We have now seen everything which is possible for creating our project, managing the new release, managing the sprints, configuring the dates, and entering some data. And with this information, you are fit to start scrumming your Scrum with Polarion.
We hope you found this session useful and remind you that Polarion's professional services team can help your team get productive with Polarion in the shortest possible time and at very reasonable cost that quickly pays for itself in improved productivity. You can get the whole story here at polarion.com/services.